Hi, it's Amber, and we're back to talk about choice boards. Well, as you see in this sample choice board here, we've got a sample that looks like a menu item. So the play on this is that you're at a restaurant and you're getting to choose what you want to order. And so this choice board is designed to look like a menu. And with each of the menu sections, appetizers, sides, main courses, beverages, and desserts, there are several things to choose from underneath it. And in this particular template, you could either link your items or simply describe what your items are. And again, this is just a template. Well, on first glance, a lot of people think that this was made with Google Slides or Canva, but it really wasn't. So as we zoom out, you'll see that this uses a product called Google Drawings. Now, there are some people out there that still haven't heard of this wonderful tool, so I'm super excited to share it with you. And what I'm going to show you is how to use the inside of the creation tools of Google Drawings so you could make something like this for a choice board. So I'm going to go over kind of the how-tos to use the tools within Google Drawings. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to go to our waffle, and I'm going to scroll down, and I will show you that you don't see Google Drawings. There's not a Google Drawings icon. So there's a couple ways that you can make Google Drawings. First of all, you can go into your Drive. You can go over to New, More, and choose Google Drawings that way. That's one way to get to Drawings. Another way that you could get to Drawings is by simply typing in your browser drawings.google.com. And this opens a blank Google drawing. Now, you may want to use this method. If you do use this method, it saves it directly into the root of your drive, so it'll be in My Drive. But if you wanted to put it in a particular place, which I do like to do, I go into Drive, create a folder, maybe I would call it Choice Boards, and then go inside that folder and then click on your New, More, Google Drawings and make it there. However you get to it is fine. So the first thing I kind of want to talk to you about is the interface here. One of the things that people get a little panicky about for some reason is that you've got this big, literally transparent canvas. There's nothing on it. That's what the boxes mean, is that it's transparent. And they think they're tied down to this one particular size. But if you'll look in the bottom right hand corner, there's a little icon that has several slashes through it in the corner, and that shows you can actually drag it to change the size of it. So you can change your size however you want it. If you wanted a square choice board, you could do that as well. The other thing that you can do is go up to File and choose Page Setup. Now, if you needed it to be a specific size, like for a standard presentation or a widescreen presentations, you could do that. If you are someone who wants to make a certain size in inches or a certain size in pixels, points, or centimeters, you can also do that. A lot of times people will use Google Drawings to create an image that's a particular size, like a Google Classroom banner or some other things like that. So you can set it however you want to, or you can simply come here and drag it till you get it to the shape and size that you would like. So now that you have your canvas size the way that you want it, let's talk about some of the tools that you have. So everything up here looks very similar to what it does in other Google products, and some of the tools in this toolbar also appear that way. So one of the things that you first may want to choose to do is change your background. Now, it's important that you think about what kind of choice board you're making. So in the sample that I showed you earlier, it was a menu. So I wanted it to be food and look kind of like a kitchen kind of vibe. So you'll want to pick an image that kind of goes with your theme. For this one, I'm going to choose to make kind of a plain-ish background so that you'll see that you don't have to choose a theme. You can just make it a fun choice. And so I would like to use a background that kind of captures that. So what you can do is right-click on any part of your canvas and go to background, and you'll notice there's solids, which are the solid colors, but there's also gradients. So if you wanted to do kind of a gradient so it looked kind of cool that way, you can do that for background. Or you can also go up to the insert menu and choose to insert an image, which is what I did with the menu. So I'm going to decide if I want to upload an image that I've taken or search the web. So when you go to search the web, it works just like your other tools in that it opens over to the right. So I'm going to search for wooden planks. And here are some cool wooden planks that I might be able to use. Now you're going to want to think about the orientation of your board and the orientation of the image. For example, I wouldn't want to use this one because then it would stretch it really far to the right. So once you find one that you'd like to use, you're just going to click on the image and click Insert. Now what you'll find is that it may not be exact, so you can either decide to change your canvas to fit the image, or you can move your image and change it until it is that size. Now what you'll notice is I'm going to have to stretch it to make it fit here, and for some images when you stretch them, depending on what they are, you can tell they're distorted. This one doesn't look too bad, so I'm going to leave it this way. So that's one way that you can get a photograph in the background, is instead of going to background and choosing a color or a gradient, you can insert an image. So now that I have this image inserted, let's look at some of the other tools that I have. So you do have the ability to draw a text box using that text box tool, and you get a crosshair and you can make the text box whatever size you like. So that's very similar to slides or any other tool. Once you've got your text box there, you get all your text box tools. So I do want to show you, if you do have something in the background, you're going to want to choose a font that's thicker and one that you're able to have stand out. So I'm going to be really simple with this one and call this Choice Board Items. And I can make that as large as I want, but you see it still doesn't quite stand off a lot. So you can actually use this box up here that says Format Options. And one of my options is to do a drop shadow, and that helps it kind of stand off and actually puts a little gray around each of the letter elements so that it's easier to read. So these are my choice board items. So once I've got my choice board items, now let's put the things inside it. So a couple of the other tools I want to show you that you have access to. You do have the ability to just keep drawing text boxes to put your text in, but when you do that, you have to think of other things like the background and as your text going to show up. So I'm going to tell you that what I usually do when I'm putting text on top of an image in a Google Drawing is I like to use shapes, because even though they don't say they have text, they do have text. So I like using these little rounded edge rectangles, but there's lots of different shapes that you can choose from. So I'm going to use the rounded edge rectangle just because it's my favorite, and I'm going to draw it and show you that the default is this baby blue sort of color. You're not stuck to that, because as soon as you draw it, remember your toolbar changes, and so I can change it to something else. I can, make it white if I want to. Well, I spent a lot of time making this background, and now this is covering it up. So I do want to show you one other little tip. So when you go to your fill and you choose a color, like I chose white, you also have this little custom link at the bottom. So if you choose custom, what you get is a transparency bar. So I can slide this just a little bit, and now I have a white box, but I can also see my background. So you'll have to play around with it and see how dark you have to make it in order for it to be seen. But this is where you can put your, choice one option. And you'll notice when I do a shape, it does center it weirdly. So what you'll have to do is go up to the top, and you see where you've got your alignment tools for centering, left, right, justification. You can, underneath it, find top, middle, and bottom. So you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and this is a little large, so I'm going to go ahead and decrease my font here too. So you can choose to make those boxes and put text inside. Now, one other thing you'll notice is that I have a border on a shape. So if you want the border more prominent, you can go to the border weight and increase it if you'd like it to be more prominent. Same thing, you can decrease it if you'd like. You also have the border color tool to the left, so you can actually change that border color, so maybe it's something that matches the image a little better and it's not quite so harsh. So you can do that as well. Now what I like to do is get one box the way that I want it, and then I copy and paste it. But I'm not quite ready, because remember, I want this to look like it's standing off the board. So if I click on the edge here and I get my tools back, I see that Format Options button again. And so I can actually use a drop shadow on it again, and that actually makes it stand out a little more. So now what I can do is click on the outside. I'll do Control C, click away from it, and Control V. And now I've got my boxes. Now here's what I want to show you about drawings that I love, is that, you know, you see how these aren't quite aligned. If you move them around, you will get some alignment hints. So you see the little red line? That's helping me center it. So I'm going to Control V again, and now I'm going to show you another trick. So now I know how to center it this way, but I want my boxes to be equidistant from each other. So what you'll notice is if I move it to a certain degree, do you see how I get those two little blue highlights on the end, and that's telling me they're exactly the same width apart. So let me do that one more time. I get it to the right vertical positioning, and to get it to the right horizontal positioning, I have to look for the little blue line. Now that I have them equidistant apart, however, I've got more space on the right than I do on the left. So here's another trick. One other thing I like to do is use the Shift key and select all the things I want to align. They're already equidistant apart, but now that I've selected them, I can move them and keep moving them until I see the center red line go down the middle, and then I can drop it, and I know that they're equidistant apart. They're totally aligned, and there are my choice boards. Now I would go in and change these options. So a lot of little alignment tricks. So some other things that you have the ability to do, again, you can always insert an image, you can always use your text box, you can also use shapes, but there's also some lines and arrows and that kind of thing if you would like to use those as well. Another thing to think about after you've gotten your background and your choice board items in is if you needed to make a link to something else. So I've got go to this week's main idea page and complete the activity. So let's say that I needed this to link to the main idea page. So all you have to do is just highlight the words that you want to link. You can either right click and link, or you can highlight and look for the little chain link at the top and insert link, and you'll just paste your link there. So whatever the link is, I'm just going to choose this one just because I don't have one ready. Then you got your link here, and so it will go to that main idea page. So you can even link things from here. You also can link a box, an entire box. So if they were to click on anywhere in this box, even if I put words on it, let me put some words in here. So this one I want to go to the museum site. So instead of linking the words, I can click on the outside of the box and go up to the hyperlink at the top and click link, and it's going to link the entire box. This is not the link, of course, I would use, but I'm just going to show you how that works. So now it doesn't matter when they come to this box, they're going to, in view mode, they're going to be able to click there and go to that website that I've created. So you've got ways to link inside the text, you've got ways to link the boxes. Now, the last sort of thing I want to show you is just thinking about icons. Let's go to inserting image, and again, you can go from the insert up there, or you can go from right here, and I want to look for icons. So I've put in question mark icon as something that I want to look for, and when those come up, you can select one and insert it, and I want to show you what happens when you insert it. It's going to be huge many of the times. So I'm going to move it over to the side here. And maybe I want it to be behind or in front of. I do want to show you when you right click, you do have the ability to send backward. You can do that. I'm going to undo that because I actually wanted it in front of it, but you can layer objects. The other thing you can do is while you have it selected, you do have that format options box that we found shadowing in before. So I can use the shadow tool to have it pop off the page. But there is the recolor option. So for recoloring, this is a way that you can choose a color that maybe matches your theme a little better. So if I wanted it to perhaps be a little more on the gray side, or whatever, you have ways that you can change the color so that it matches your board by looking at the recolor tool. So I didn't have to know how to do anything fancy. I could just look around until I found one that I liked. So just notice that you have that recolor tool. And I'm going to use this gray. So don't forget about that format options box. So now let's imagine that I've finished this board and I have everything finished in it and I want to keep the links. I'm not going to go up to File and download this as an image, because once I download this as an image, it becomes a picture of this, and the picture is not going to have links in it. Now you can download it as a PDF and it will save the links. You can go to Google Classroom and add this to an assignment with view-only rights. That's going to enable your students to be able to see it. The other thing you can do if you're not using Google Classroom is you can click on Share. So it's telling me to name it. And what you can do is decide if you want to link it or add it to view rights for certain people, or if you want to just get a link. So just for fun, so that we can see what this looks like, I'm going to say change the link to Henderson County Public Schools. I'm going to copy that link and open up an incognito window so we can see what this looks like. So when you share it with someone else, they'll only have view rights, but they'll still be able to click here and go to the site that you're sending them to. They'll still be able to click on all the links and get to where they need to go. So they'll just have view only rights, but it will look like the board and it will work just like the board. So this is a super easy way to create something. So use Google Drawings, enjoy using it, use all those tools, and just have fun designing. It's a simple, easy way without having to learn a brand new platform. Just use the Google tools and leverage them to make the most out of making choice boards with Google Drawings.